with our training today. Very excited on this particular Wednesday. We are getting into a few things that I love, but we don't talk about ever, and that is rating our prospects. You know, we're kind of ingrained and indoctrinated in this industry that everybody is our prospect. And I'm going to bust some of that myth in a few minutes because it is really, I think, creating a disservice and an expectation that causes frustration and people to think there's something wrong with them, and they're spending time on people that maybe aren't the best prospects. But then again, on the other side of that, maybe it's a skill issue and it isn't the prospect. So it's a gray area that I'm going to get into today talking about this. And I've heard very few people talk about this topic in the past. And I feel like it's important because, you know, when I work with my clients or even in the past with my team, we ask, how's it going? How's your prospecting? What's, hot on your radar? And it's like, sometimes people are just trying and going at people that maybe they shouldn't. So we're going to get into that. But who am I? I'm going to introduce myself because there's a ton of new people that are following this training that we do on Wednesday morning. And I'm Jen Springer, and I've been in network marketing since 2001, very long time. Early adopter, kind of, because network marketing has been around a very long time. But I came in at an interesting time when it was kind of the bridge time between the old way of recruiting that worked for decades to watching the social media open and morph, and then online ads. So between online ads and social and, pay-per-click and all that, but also the old days of doing very successful vendor events, print ads, radio ads, and stuff like that. And I could tell you that the world has definitely changed, and it's going to keep on changing. And the biggest issue that we have is finding always, more people to talk to. And so that's what brings me to talk about Facebook ads, because this, people in this industry in general say, well, network marketing doesn't, ads don't work for us, and et cetera, et cetera. Well, that's not true. It's a farce. And that's why I created my, Facebook ads for MLM leaders Facebook group. That's exactly why. We have a lot of training that comes out every week, and I put it together our new website, likes2leads.com. We'll be soon launching a YouTube channel, got a podcast going on Spotify and iTunes and all that about, network marketing and stuff like that. But, really it comes down to, we have these goals that we want to achieve, whether it's getting your first $500, you're going to a new rank and you want to make $10,000, or maybe you're there and you want to go to the really big leadership ranks. And that journey, is a process of learning and getting your skills honed in and, working on a lot of things. And typically it doesn't happen overnight unless you've come from another company or you have a massive network of people that you can tap into and go very quickly to the top. And what I mean by that are people that are very influential, whether it is online or offline. I've seen it with people who are, social media, Instagram influencers or bloggers that have lists of, massive lists, or people that maybe were influential and, very connected into, say, like a church, a mega church or something like that. I've seen that type of situation. But in general, most people have to work from day one and really start building based off the connections they have. friends, family, acquaintances, and then once you run through those, what do? Right? What's the next step? And so there's we got a lot of training on that, talking about ads. If you're in the MLM Leaders for Facebook or Facebook Ads for MLM Leaders group, make sure you check out the guides section, because I have in there's some really good information to get started on Facebook ads. Why Facebook ads? Because they are the least expensive, least risky, and you can reach the most people, which are end users. Very simple. And then if you get your campaigns running well and all that other stuff on Facebook, you can switch to other platforms and test other things. But really the best training ground for ads is Facebook, without a question of a doubt. And it's working better than ever. And yeah, I get so excited talking about Facebook ads. So let's talk about rating prospects. Now, in network marketing, when you join, we're typically taught the 3-foot rule. Anybody within 3 feet of you, well, we should talk to them about our business or product. And, that might be true, but I want to talk about a few things that I feel are important when it comes to what we're doing with this. Let me share my screen here on the Zoom. Okay, I'm seeing myself on here. But so here is a Google Drive sheet. Let's make this bigger so people can see. Hopefully you can see that without a problem. And there's a couple different things. Let's make it a little bigger. Did that make it bigger? Okay. So, a few different things that I want to show you. One is when you first start, it's important to begin with sitting down, and I know I'm going to say this and some of you may scream and pull your hair out and swear at me. You making your list of people that you know. And that's not necessarily the list you're going to go and start spamming, but you really need to maximize the resources that you have available to you, to get your business launched. And not everybody is going to be somebody you're going to recruit in your business. So I encourage people to sit down and, create a list with the name, their contact info. And you may have a CRM piece of software that you can use for this purpose as well. Your company might have something that would be where you could enter in the names of people and their contact info. You can enter those individuals in there and sort them, etc. But I'm using a good old spreadsheet. Okay. So their name, their contact, how you know them. And then what I like to do is make a discernment. Is this person good for my product? Is this person maybe good for my business opportunity? Or is this person a connector? Okay, so just for, to know, P is for product, B is for business, and C is a connector. And why would you want to sort these people this way? Well, some people might be one of those things, and some people might be all of those things. And if you go into this with realistic expectation, you will not be one of those obnoxious people that reaches out and there is a mismatch, like a real obvious mismatch, because we don't always know if somebody is going to be good for the product or the business or whatever, because we need to have that conversation with them. But there are some people that are really, it's obvious, it's really obvious. And we want to really sort that out from the beginning. So here you might put, Mary Jane, and here you put her phone number or whatever. And then how do you know her? She's your neighbor. And you know her pretty well. And you definitely want to talk to her about the product. but you know that she's thinking about maybe leaving her job or she works too many hours. So you might put business, you know, like that. And then you got Mark. It's gonna be an M day. Mark, you don't know his phone number, but you know he's on Facebook. Okay. How do you know him? He is a, let's say, a life friend. I don't know, I'm making it up. And you're not quite sure if he's interested in the product or business, but you know that he is somebody that could host live talks that you would do. So you might like put in parentheses, you know, business or product, but you really want to talk to him about, you know, being a connector, or what I call a connector is somebody who has resources. So he's got a venue that you could do an event at or host a talk or something like that. And even with those people, you know, we can talk to them and say, hey, Mark, you know, I'm launching my new business. I'm really excited. I'm putting everything together. I know you have access to that, you know, what do you call it? I'm seeing it in my head, that venue, whatever you want to call it. It's not the right word I'm looking for. Is it for rent, or how do you And, you know, Mark, I don't know if you're keeping your options open at all yourself, but I'm getting started in my business and I'm looking for, you know, maybe about a half a dozen people to lock arms with and get this thing launched in this community and really go to town, because we're really expanding. We're growing fast. And I know you told me that blah, 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 blah. And if this is a fit or something you want to talk about, let's have that conversation later. But first, tell me about, you know, if this venue is still available. So you can always prospect people all the time for everything, but really you want to start this out and sort people into categories so you can have a base to begin with. Okay, so go through your lists and then sort these people. Now I'm going to put this, I don't want to put this here because I want to go into the next thing, and I should have formatted these cells appropriately before I did this here. I want to do, let's look at the cells. Wrapping. I want to wrap. Okay. So then what we can do is, let's go here. There we go. Then we can also rate them as we're talking to our prospects. You know, we can go down the line. We could talk to Jan. We could talk to Sally, Dave, et cetera, et cetera. So we go through this list. You know, you can make some notes or whatever. But when we go through this list, and, you know, if you're running ads or you're doing vendor events and you're collecting leads or in other ways, or maybe you're an out and about prospector that you talk to people as you go through your daily life, and you should always keep a live list of these people. And that will never stop getting added to. And you can take people and archive them into other pages into this worksheet, or you can leave them on there and sort them, however you want to do it. You know, there's many, many different ways you could do this. And I'm showing you a very rough and crude way that anybody can do, no matter what technology you have. Google Drive is free. Okay, so if you don't have Office or whatever on your Mac, you know, or your PC, you don't have any excuses. You can use this spreadsheet on Google Drive. Like, this is good old fashioned guerrilla style marketing, right? There's no excuses. If you even needed to go back to the old school pen and paper, you could do that too. Maybe you keep your super hot list on a pen and paper and a working list on the digital. I mean, you got to figure out your own way. So as you are going through and you're creating this list, you know, and this is the list. And now, is this the list of people that you want to go and, you know, invite over for roast beef dinner and lock them in your closet till they won't leave, and, you know, they won't join, and then you can let them go? Not necessarily, but, you know, some people they make your list again, make it again. And yeah, that is fine. You should always be adding to the list. But if you've worked the list a bunch of times and you're not getting anywhere, you always need to be adding fresh people to the list. I mean, that's like one of the big, I think, things that make me frustrated in this industry is that make your list again, make it again, make it again. Well, if you've talked to Mary Jane 6 times about your business and she's like told you to go to hell and never call her again, you don't call her again, okay? But you should be adding fresh people to the list. You should be, and you should organize them. So, I'm kind of like on the fence with, make your list. Yes, you should make your list, but you should always be adding to the list. The list should be constantly being refreshed. And if you're stuck and you haven't added new people to your list, you need to start running some ads, okay? Or you need to start doing some vendor events where you're collecting a massive amount of leads, or you need to work on your out and about prospecting skill, or learning how to get referrals from the leads or the customers you already have. Okay, so that's different skills. Okay, we're not going into that today. But as you work through this list, you should rate these people really depending on what you're going with, a product, a business, the connectors you really wouldn't rate. But, as you go through and you're talking to people about the business, the product, this person you might talk, this person's a business person, this person might be a business person. And as you go down the list, you've got your folks. You might even sort these, and have a list, a page, on your sheet for product, a page for business, a page for connectors, however you want to do it. It's up to you. But I'm showing you all here on the sake of one page, just because it would be easier. So the thing is, now you need to discern what level of quality is that prospect for your business. And it's not an insult against their intelligence or if they're a good person or anything like that. But some people are going to be better qualified for your business than others. Okay. And how do we know, right? How do we know from a scale of 1 to 10, how do we know what somebody is? Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you that at first you're not going to know. I'm just going to tell you, you're not going to know because you're new. And this is something that you got to kind of live into, and making a sheet here for you to look at. So how do you rate these prospects? I know this is going to be gray, and I wish I could tell you black or white, so-and-so is this or that. But the problem is we don't. And you are what somebody is to you today on a scale of 1 to 10, they may not be that as you get more seasoned and the more people you talk to. Because my definition of a 10 may not be the same as your definition as a 10. Because when you're brand new, you have nothing really to compare to. And you think a 10 is somebody with a pulse and that says yes. And one of the great mistakes I've made in my business is I spent too much time with people that I shouldn't have. And people that said they wanted to do the business, but they weren't doing the actions to really grow their business. They were the people that wanted my time. They weren't the people that deserved my time. And that it's hard when you first start, because how do you really know when someone says, yeah, I want to do a business, and there's a fine line between getting them the skills, helping them do their initial presentation, then letting them fly out of the nest and then going independent. And then they might need coaching on that, but some of them fly out of the nest and they flop a little bit and then they fly, right? And then people are like, they want you in the nest with them forever. They want you to do it all forever. And then there's people that are like, yep, just show me what to do. And they're already flying. Like, you don't even need to help much. And then there's the people that they fly out of the nest and they fall on their face, but they don't want to get up and even try to make it better. So again, some of this is like, you got to live your way into it, right? You got to get the experience. But in general, I'm going to show you a prospect rating just in general. Like, you know, somebody who is a 1 would be somebody I would not work with. You know, they're no money, you know, no way to fix. They're not willing, stuff like that, okay? Somebody who would be a 2 is not much better than a 1. No money, no way to fix. Maybe they've tried something. They might have tried something in the past, right? But that, you know, probably didn't go anywhere. So a 3 would be somebody who is no money. They are maybe a little bit negative. They are somebody who, you know, knows they have a problem. And they're kind of like on the fence. They're on the fence of fixing it. They're not really motivated, you know. So to be honest, a 1 through 3, somebody, these people I typically won't work with. I'm just going to say, it's just because I don't really have the time or desire or energy to do so. Now, people that are a 4, oops, sorry, what I meant to do. I meant to change my color. People that are a 4, I'm going to pick, what color should I make these people? Maybe blue. So people that are 4, 5, and 6, these people, you know, they may join. I need to go back. They may join. They have some inclination to get started. Inclination. But they're not real motivated. You know, I mean, that's kind of how it goes. This is a lot of people. I mean, most of the people that you're going to work with are going to be, you know, possibly even 4s, 5s, and 6s. But the good news is people can change numbers. You know, life changes, circumstances changes. It's possible, like it happens. And sometimes people go from a 10 to a 1, you know, I'm just kidding. But, you know, even with the 5s, you know, and how do you discern between the numbers? Well, it's kind of like the amount of effort, and you're going to create your own in your brain. You know, a 5 is kind of a middle of the road. You know, they may put some hours in. They could join at middle or lower packages. Okay. But they're, you know, they're kind of getting going. Now a 6, this is where I start to pay more attention to folks. You know, a 6 person is, they have a desire, they joined or are willing, but this isn't their top priority. To fix their life or, you know, to grow, however you want to look at that. You know, people that are 6s are generally the ones that are, they join, they get going, they show up to some events, they may do a couple presentations a year, they're very part-time, but that, you know, the 6s aren't the ones you still want to love on them really, you know, nicely. But the ones I'm really looking for are the 7s and aboves. The 7s are maybe people that they have a desire, you know, they're motivated. They work their business regularly. They are positive. They're good to be around. They've got good mental, I guess you'd say, perspective on growing and manifesting, and they get good energy type of people. These people. But the thing is, why aren't they a 10? Because they're not on fire. Okay, so the 7s are, they're just going along, and the 8s are very similar as that as well. You have these people that are an 8. They are learning. They're actively working biz every day. They're sponsoring regularly. And this, again, your numbers may be different than mine. So these 7s and 8s, it's a gray area here, right? Some might be 7s, some might be 8s. They might go back and forth, but at least, you've got an idea of what you're working with, okay? So the 9s are, they're awesome, right? And they're not just saying they're awesome, they are working the biz every day. They are sponsoring. Personally, I would think a 9 would be sponsoring probably a person almost every day. They are hosting their own events. They are getting, more training to be better. So that's this type of person. The business is not something that they'll do someday. They're doing it. Okay. And then on the top here, we're going to have our 10s, and very, very few people are going to be a 10. A 10 is the all in and doing it. They're not just lip servicing, they're doing it. They are, they may have past network marketing experience. And by the way, don't let that be the main lure, because there's a lot of talk, people that say they're all that and they're not, they're really not. They're really not all that. If someone brags to you about how great they are, they're probably like, why are you bragging? They may have past network marketing experience. They're well connected. They have a very positive abundance mindset. They are sponsoring 2+ people a day. They are in some of these people that, again, you might be like, wow, if they're sponsoring 2 people a day, they're a prospect. These are the people that when they get started right away, you'll see that as well. But these people may have that track record, but they're hungry and open to doing this. You don't always know where if they're gonna do this, but I'm just saying, yeah, that will be foreseen in the future. But they're all, and then the thing is, these people started the top package. They don't even flinch about that, and they get to work right away. A lot of time, and some of this is going to be the same as the 9s, they're going to start with top package. This is a priority. So these 9s and these 10s are going to be very, very, this little bit difference between these two. I'll tell you, your 1 through 3s, I mean, if you want to create a 0, you can, but your 1 through 3s are going to be the ones that you might not even be able to crack in there and get them. They're going to be negative. They're going to tell you this is a pyramid, and they're going to say, don't even try. They're going to poop on your parade. I'm just going to tell you. And they don't want to fix their situation. They're broke. They have got debt collectors calling them, and they're asking you why you want to make your life better. And you're like, because I'm ready, and they're like, well, nobody's ever succeeded doing one of those things, that's the 1 through 3. And if you're going through your list over here and you kind of rate these people, even to start or once you start talking to them and you think they're over here, put them at the bottom of the list, these 1 through 3s. Now, the 4, 5s, and 6s, these people, they're going to be a little tougher, but if you're new getting started, absolutely prospect these people. These people are maybe thinking about it. They would be open to taking a look. It might not be the right time, or maybe they've tried one of those things in the past. You're going to hear those types of things when they talk to you. This person might be somebody that likes to be, other things come before making their life better. They'd rather, watch TV all night long and hang out at the bar on the weekends. I mean, again, these people they're interested, they want to take a look, but you might be doing a lot of chasing with these 4, 5s, and 6s. Okay. Again, how do you know these for certain? There's only one way to know these people and where your prospects really land. And that is calling your prospects, reaching out and making a mess. When I coach people and they start getting all these leads coming in from their ads, or if they're doing vendor events or whatever, I'm like, talk to everybody at first, because you have no frame of reference. I'm showing you my 1 through 10, but you don't have that yet. Most likely you might, if you've done your, network marketing, and you've really talked to a lot of people. But if you're brand new, you don't have a frame of reference yet, because your 10 might be my 5. And that's not because I'm so awesome. It's because I've talked to a lot of people and I really know what a 10 is like. Like the 4, 5s, and 6s, I probably wouldn't, I usually give the 4, 5s, and 6s to my team members to do the work. Now, I personally want to work with 7s and aboves. Actually more like 8 and aboves, but somebody who's really got the spark, someone who is ready to join, they're taking action to grow their team. They're calling me, wanting help, asking questions, tell me what to do. When's the next company event? Stuff like that. These are the people that have the spark, as we like to say. And the 7s and the 8s, they're going along, they're joining at mid to top packages. They are doing the work that you give them to learn about the company. They're talking to people about the business or the product. I mean, these people are the ones that are really starting to go. I mean, they're starting to sponsor, they have that desire, and really this is not I guess one of the biggest things is this is not just something that they're doing in their life. Like if these people, once they get started in your business, they're going to be actively building, and they might be part-timers. They might be, people that work their business, regularly, but, they're sponsoring, maybe a handful of people a month. They might, that's what you might expect from 7s and 8s. But a 7 or an 8 could go to a 10, right? And really, jump into where they're just on fire. The 9s and the 10s, though, when you're working with these prospects, these are the ones that are going to be chasing you down. They are the people that, the 7s and the 8s, they respond to your communication. They're people that are, they're ready to work, and, they're going to get started at, like I said, mid packages, maybe even top packages, but they're not chasing you down wanting the next piece of information, how to get started, when's the company overview, I'm ready to sign up for your convention. That's going to be your 9s and your 10s. And even the discernment between a 9 and a 10, it's like a hair, it's a hair. Now, the thing is, when you get started and if you start working with rating your prospects, and you're talking to somebody and they're like, yeah, Jen, I'm all in, I totally want to do this, and they're giving you the lip service, they may seem to be a 10, but the way that I test them is through is through being able to do I give them a test. Oops, on my Zoom page. I give them a test where, I don't need to do that. I give them a test that may indicate to me whether they are a 10 or not, if that makes sense. So how would I do that? I would give them an assignment. So if you're brand new getting started, let's get your process, your top package started. And I need to give you some homework. Are you open to that? What are your hours this week? How many hours are you planning on working your business? If I start to hear excuses, they go on to the 10 spot. Your 10s and your 9s are not going to drag this on and ask you to call them back and follow up later. And they're going to get started next week. You know what I mean? They're going to be in, like the 9s and the 10s are in, and they're going to be ready. Jen, tell me what to do. My package is coming to me through the mail. What do I do now to get started while I'm waiting? I mean, those are going to be the people, you're going to have those kinds of conversations. Your 7s and your 8s are still going to be good prospects, but they're just going steady. They're doing the work. They're sponsoring, or they're not sponsoring. Their desire is there, but the 6s and below, you're going to feel a little drag within them. Your 4, 5s, and 6s are going to ask you, well, what does this cost to get started? What's the minimum package? I really want to do the top package, but I can only afford the beginner package. I can maybe put in 5 to 10 hours a week. They've maybe new to network marketing. And so those people, you're going to have to work to follow up with. Your 5s, your 4, 5s, and 6s are going to be the ones you're going to have in your pipeline. You're going to follow up with them. You need to drip on them. You need to come up with a system to get them, exposed through live events or follow-ups or whatever. And they might take more to get going, and they may go fast. They may not. A lot of people come in as a 4, 5, and 6, and then as they build and they get the fire ignited under them, they can become a rock star. That goes to stretching 7, 8, 9, 10. They can jump from one to the other. But the only way to really know what your prospect really is honestly for you to talk to everybody. That's the truth. When you're doing, we can do some live events, things are opening up that way. Get out there and get into your community, join networking groups, run Facebook ads, do print ads are way passe. So I wouldn't do any print ads at this time. It's really not a good use of your money or your time. But out and about prospecting, always meeting new people. Put yourself in situations where you can meet new people. If you're meeting people through Facebook or whatever, get to know them, jump on a Zoom, have a conversation with them. It's really dependent on you. You might be somebody that does really well on LinkedIn. You're great at your reach outs. You love catching, people business to business, and that might be your thing. So, but the key to this is talking to a lot of people. How do you really learn your own rating system? Is through talking to a lot of people. I have made thousands and thousands of dials when we used to do purchasing leads and phone prospecting. For my own ads, I've done not thousands of dials, because I've done thousands of dials over my career. I've gotten thousands of leads, but of those leads, I've talked to hundreds and hundreds of people through ads. And every time you talk to somebody, you learn something. And the more you do this, the more you're going to come up with your own system of what is a 1 through a 10. I could say this to you and give you these guidelines and help you kind of find your people, give you a base to this, but truly it's going to be you like doing the work, and it's not always going to be pleasant, because, I sometimes talk to people and they're like, well, Jen, I only want to talk to like 7 to 10s. Well, same here. But how do you know if it's a 7 or an 8 or a 9 or a 10? You don't know yet because you're new. So you've got, at first, call everybody, talk to everybody. When you make your list over here and you're putting people through this, you're reaching out to them and you're, like I said, you've got some people business and product and et cetera, and you're making your list. This list should be at least 100 names, at least. Now with the advent of Facebook, there's more, but when you're starting to reach out, you can let people know, hey, I'm launching my business and, I want to make sure that everybody I know knows that what I'm doing so that if you, have anybody to refer to me, or maybe, you might be interested, I don't know, but I wanted to let you know what I'm up to and yada, yada. Okay. So that is a really great non-threatening way to get started. But as you start to talk to these people and you share your business and you have conversations, you come in here and you start to rate them. Mary Jane, she came in and we were talking and she's really not that interested. She's tried network marketing, blah, blah, blah. She's a 3. Mark, life friend, really has no interest in the business at all. He's no interested in the product, blah, blah, blah. Now, Jan, when I talked to Jan, she was asking me for more information. She wants to meet next week. She's got a desire to make a couple $1,000s extra a month. And she's kind of hot. So I'm going to put her at a 6. Sally, though, when I called her, she's literally texted me 6 times since I did that first call with her. She wants to go to the company overview. She is ready to get started with whatever package I tell her is the right one. And she's already making her list of people that she wants to share this with. I'm going to give her a 9 because she hasn't proven yet she's a 10. I'm just always reluctant to give out that 10. Now, Dave came to me and he's interested. He wants to get started next week. I've got his credit card ready to go. He's starting with a middle package down the road. And he's got, maybe an hour to work his business every day. And so I'd say he's probably like a 5. So that's just to give you some idea of how I'd rate these prospects, and what I could do with this is if I wanted to, hold on, I'm trying to find I'm not a super proficient with my Google Drive. But so what I could do in here is I can then sort these people according to their rating. Column E. So now I can put these people and I can know where to focus. I just sort of, if you use Excel spreadsheet or some other spreadsheet, you could do that. But, I can rate my people according to this. Now, as you make your list, it's going to become evident. You're going to have product people and business people, and then other, like I said, maybe people who are connectors or people that can help you with different things. Like I said, they could have a venue. They might know how to run social media, like people that might be a good resource for you. A connector can be, I put people who are good resources and connectors in the same category. So a resource, like I said, might be someone with a venue. They might know how to do social media, blah, blah, blah. But a connector is also somebody who can help me meet more people. Like, everybody wants to sponsor chiropractors, right? They got these practices or massage therapists or people who own businesses or doctors or whatever. Well, it may not be that person, but it might be the people that, they are connected to that I can get in front of. So really, connector and resource for me are about the same. Somebody who may not be directly a straight up product, straight up business, but they might be a resource for me to expand my business in another way. So go through, make your list, start, practicing with this rating. Sort people in the buckets, product, business, connector, resource, okay? And, like I said, you could have your different sheets. You could put a sheet for product people, sheet for business people, sheet for resource people, maybe hybrids. I don't know. You kind of figure out the way you want to do this, or maybe you just do it like this, right? It doesn't matter. As you grow and your list gets bigger and bigger, you might sort them differently. But at first, put them all on one sheet and then look at this to give you some type of baseline. The people that are 7s to 10s, their actions speak louder than their words. Okay. They are the ones my eyeballs are seeing doing stuff. The 1 through 6s are often lip service. They're dragging their feet. They're whatever, that's just me. That's how I know from the past. But how are you going to know? You got to get busy. You've got to do this work. You got to jump in, start talking to everybody. You can start running some ads. You can get to their local vendor events. You can run through your Facebook list. You can ask for referrals. You can do out and about prospecting when you're going through your day. I mean, you've got to make a mess if you want to get into momentum. Momentum where you're sponsoring 3 to 5 people a week or more doesn't happen on accident. You've got to be working every day. And it takes 60 to 90 days minimum to hit true momentum. Sometimes it's 6 months. When I lived in Fargo, we were doing 3 events a week. That's my momentum thing. It's like 3 events a week. 1 educational event for your prospect and 2 events where you're meeting people, new people. We were doing more than 3 events a week. And the problem was when I lived in Fargo, that community is very close knit. And it took me a long time to gain their trust. But then I did presentations for 6 months or longer. I think it was more like 8 months. And I was not enrolling yet, even though I'd already had a team when I moved there. And I already had substantial volume. It was like $60,000 to $85,000 a month. But I moved to this new city and I had to start from scratch. And for 6 months or longer, I know it's 6 to 8 months, we were doing presentations and we were just enrolling 1 or 2. We were not in momentum. But then about 8 months, the scales tipped and we started enrolling like crazy. My volume blew up. That one particular leg blew up to like $30,000 very shortly, just one of the legs. And so, but most people would have said the evidence in front of me is saying this isn't working. But we were doing the work, talking to people, following up, showing up, And it took a long time in that particular community. It was really hard. But I knew what to do because I'd done it in the past. And I knew, I'm like, we just got to keep doing it. We just got to keep doing it. But we were adding people to our pipeline and our prospect every week. Every week. We were probably putting in 10 to 20 new people into our pipeline every week. So again, you would log them, you would track them. A lot of companies have software. They got an app that you can track these people in and where you can rate and sort them. Okay. You can use a good old spreadsheet like this if you want. You can use a piece of paper if you want. Whatever it is, just get started with this. Get your prospects in front of you and then start rating them and then start working with them, following up, So I hope this was helpful. Again, I know that this is a skill that you've got to practice and live your way into. The only way to get really good at rating prospects is through sorting and also through calling and talking to a ton of people or reaching out. Maybe not always calling, but texting, messaging, phone, in person, talking to people out and about. This is the only way in your head you can start learning how to sort. And you're going to come up with your own 10. You're also going to come up with your own 1 through 3. So anyways, this is Jen Springer. I am so glad that you took the time to learn this skill. Please teach this to your teams. You can add them to this community so that they can also learn. And every week we're doing this training. And if you're seeing this somewhere else, be sure to subscribe and like this and even comment. We'd love to hear from you. So have a wonderful rest of your day. And we will catch you guys on the next training next week.